we know that people have wealth. But what I tell my friends, that in the middle of the night, if you can't breathe, you're going to die. And they look at you stunned. I said, how am I going to die? I said, by the time that you put together your private jet, your crew, trying to fly back to the UK, you're dead.
I've caught up with our very own renowned award-winning plastic surgeon, Dr. K. Obeng, who happens to be a friend, who happens to be somebody that has inspired a lot of people. Anytime I go to LA, he's in his gear, waiting for his patient to do his surgery. And so, Doc, nice to have you in Ghana.
Thank you.
Do you remember the first time we met?
First time we met was in London, Prempeh College. It was a
College.
fundraising.
And when you spoke, I was like, wow, this man is so inspiring. The work that you've done, some of the charities that you do. When you were in Ghana, did you always know that you wanted to be a plastic surgeon or a doctor?
I knew at an early age, about 12, that I wanted to be a doctor, but it wasn't until about 14. I came across plastic surgery.
Okay.
And I said, wow, this is pretty cool. This is what I want to do when I grow up.
Wow.
People always ask, how did a young boy learn about plastic surgery in Ghana? Because at the time, there were no plastic surgeons in Ghana. But thanks to Operation Smile, they inspired me. Oh. Yeah, so Operation Smile came to Ghana, I think I was about 13 or 14. And they did surgery on a neighbor. This is a lady who was so beautiful, but her partner had poured acid on her face. Oh. The lady became a recluse. She would not leave her house for about 2 years. And then one day I ran into her. And she had a smile because everybody knew the story. Her younger brother was my friend. Okay. I said, Joe, I just saw your sister. She's smiling. He said, oh, yeah, she just had plastic surgery. What's that? I said, they do surgery so you look better. I said, wow, that's pretty cool. Wow. And that was Operation Smile. Wow. That was how I got my inspiration.
And that's where it inspired you to be a plastic surgeon. How was life at Prempeh College?
Prempeh was good. Right. I learned how to tie a tie knot at Prempeh College. Okay. How to use a fork and knife at Prempeh College. Okay. So, it did a lot of things for us. It instills discipline in you. Right. And it shaped me into the type of man I am today.
When did you leave to the U.S.?
When we grew up in Ghana, there were not that many opportunities. Okay, we're talking about 35 years ago. Right. Ghana has changed. Now there are so many opportunities, of course. At the time that we were here, there were only 2 universities. Tech, Legon. And if you want to be a school teacher, you go to Cape Coast. Okay. Okay. Now there are about 30 universities in Ghana. So I've always wanted to go to America. Because I have uncles who live there. Okay. And I knew the quality of life, opportunities were going to be much better in America. As early as 15, I wanted to go to America. So we started what's called COMSA.
Wow.
Okay. But, I couldn't get into high school. Couldn't afford a $22,000 price tag until after, when I was at Prempeh College, when I said, no, I want to go to college. Okay. So then I started spending a lot of time learning about the SAT. Okay. TOEFL. By the time we had to take a test called TOEFL. TOEFL, okay. Which is Test of English as a Foreign Language. Okay. And that's how it all came about. So
you passed?
Oh, yeah, I didn't want to be here. Because if I had lived in Ghana, I would probably not be a doctor. Because, they used to put us in boxes. Okay. And I was mathematically inclined. Okay. I did not like to read. I don't like biology. So even for sixth form, I read physics, chemistry, and math. And those type of classes were steered towards the engineering sector. Okay, even, of course, in life, everything I do, I always have plan A, B, C, and D. And I still applied to university in Ghana. Guess what I was accepted into? Mathematics. Okay. Yeah, and then my second choice was, I think, mechanical engineer. Okay. So so guess where my trajectory would have been. Versus the US, it doesn't matter. Okay.
I get it. What did your mom say? You wanting to leave? Was she happy with that? Was she okay?
Yeah, because going to America was a lottery for me. Okay. Yeah, I knew I would do much better there, so it was a no-brainer.
Okay. Did you have siblings?
I have siblings. I'm the oldest child, so my siblings were much younger than me. But that wasn't going to stop me. I was going to go to America. Yeah.
America was a dream.
Follow my dream. Yeah.
Okay, so now you're in America. And how was the transition from going from Ghana to America?
It was a shock, okay? I went to America to study, of course. With all the scholarships and adjustments, I still had to come out $15,000, which at the time, nobody in my family had $15,000.
Of course.
Ghanaians talk about money like it's water, okay? But I knew that with determination and hard work, everything can become a reality. So when I left here, and I realized, as a young kid, thinking, I can go to America. And I work every day. I work, back then, minimum wage was like $4.25. Okay, that was the federal minimum wage in the United States.
Wow.
I arrived in America August 21st, and quickly I came to a realization that it wasn't going to be what I had thought about. Okay, you're a 20-year-old kid, you didn't know what taxes was, so you think, oh, you're going to work 20 hours a day, sleep 4 hours every day, make $100, you can save all this money and go to college. Reality set in. Okay, so I realized I couldn't go to school, so I deferred for one more semester, and I worked.
Wow.
I worked 2-3 jobs, saved all my money, and on December 30th, 1993, I took a Greyhound bus from D.C. to Texas, where I spent the next 3 years, got my degree, moved on to medical school. Then after that, did my fellowship at Harvard, and then took a job as the youngest plastic surgeon in Mahoning County to be chief of plastic surgery at the age of 32. This is what I do. I love it. I've been doing this on my own for 19 years.
Wow. Do you remember your first complicated surgery that you had to do?
The first complicated surgery I had to do was reattaching 4 fingers. In 2006, that took me 20 hours. You get the chance to go eat and use the bathroom, yes. Okay, we're not robots.
How many people are in the room?
Lots of people. So it's a complex surgery, of course. You need somebody to assist you across like we're sitting down like this. Okay, we use a microscope because the vessels and the nerves are so tiny. We're talking about vessels where, 1 millimeter, and you put in nice stitches. Of course, I'm the lead surgeon, an assistant, a surgical tech, a nurse, anesthesiologist, anesthesia tech, but in the typical about maybe 6 to 8 people in the room.
Okay.
But I went through 4 assistants. Okay. We started surgery at 3 p.m. I had my first assistant about 6. The shift changes. I had to go home. Somebody came in, helped assist her till about 10 p.m. midnight. Then somebody till about 4 in the morning, and somebody operated till noon, from 3 p.m. to noon. Reattaching forth. That was the first most challenging surgery I ever did. Yeah.
Wow. And did they feel their fingers, like their nerves, everything was working perfectly?
Yeah. I mean, granted, 4 was able to reattach all 4.
Wow.
Eventually, we ended up taking off 1, the index finger.
Okay.
Because every time that we revascularize it, we have blood flow going into it. It goes into spasms. Okay. And then it turns white again. Okay. And, after trying so many times, my boss finally came to me and said, you know what, if I were you, I would just call it a day. Okay. Because you've done 3. You've done the thumb, which accounts for 40 to 50% of hand function. Okay, so the index finger is something we discard. If you got the thumb working, the middle finger in the ring, it was a challenge because when you are at Harvard, you cannot throw stuff away. The mentality is different. If this was when I was at the University of Texas, you probably had thrown the towel in early. So when the big boss said, if I were you, I would stop, I stopped.
Okay. So when did you open your own surgery?
When I left Harvard, I took a job, as I mentioned earlier, as chief of plastic surgery in Youngstown, Ohio. And I worked there for 5.5 years. Okay. And I realized for what I want to do, because at the time I had established a nonprofit called Restore, which is an acronym which stands for Restoring Emotional Stability through Outstanding Reconstructive Efforts. Okay. And I realized that's my ultimate passion. And to do that at a higher level, I need to work for myself. Because I cannot work for a hospital trying to request time off. And of course, with my contract, I only get a month off. So 2 years into employment, I decided that I could not work for anybody but myself. Okay. When my contract was over, they convinced me to stay, to renew my contract, which I did. Okay. And then when my contract came up the second time, they asked me to renew again. I thought about it. Because of some technicalities and trust issue, and I don't care how much money you pay me. If I can't trust you, I cannot be with you. Wow. I don't care how much you bring to the table. So that was one of the biggest decisions that I had to leave. And then I decided to move to Los Angeles, where I can work for myself. When you work for somebody, it's just a matter of time that the person will come to you for a pay cut. Okay, and Youngstown was not on my radar. I did not even know where Youngstown was until the recruiter approached me. And I figured if I continued to get comfortable, and they said, we can't afford to pay you, of course, also not trusting them, then I have to live at least a decade of my life in Youngstown. I'm stuck. So I moved to LA. In 2012, I established my own practice.
Why LA? Okay.
The weather, and also what I wanted to do. I wanted a bigger stake for Restore, a place where Restore can be more visible. I'd like challenges to also go to an environment where plastic surgeons were at the top of their game. And if you want to be a competitor, you want to go to where the competition is.
Wow.
So that's why I chose LA.
Okay. And how has it been so far in LA?
No, it's been great. So my business manager at the time when I was moving told me verbatim that I was committing a career suicide. He said, they love you here in Youngstown. Of course, everybody knew who I was. I was the youngest surgeon. I was always on TV. And moving to Los Angeles, where there are so many plastic surgeons in a 1 mile radius.
There's a lot.
There are about 200 plastic surgeons. So you go from Ohio, where the town I live, we had 6 plastic surgeons. Okay, it doesn't take much for you to stand out.
Yeah.
Now you're going to compete with about 1,000 plastic surgeons. 1 mile radius. But it's been great. This was also during the time that banks would not loan money because we had just come over the 2008 economic crash. So I started looking for loans to open my practice in Beverly Hills. We first started with $1 million. No banks would give it to us. We drop it to 750, 500, even 100,000. They would not give it to us. So what I did, I told my financial planner, my business manager, liquidate everything I have.
Wow.
And that's when he told me that I was coming in. So you're going to waste everything you've made in the last 5 years. And I said, yeah. If I cannot bet on myself, who do you think is going to bet on me? And we had our grand opening in December 2012. We started seeing patients, I believe, September. By 2013, I was very successful. Okay, and people say, how did you do it? By going out meeting people. But also when you do good work, it shines through the dark and people know who you are. And that's how I built my practice.
Wow. How did Tessica Brown come about, the lady with the glue?
So Tessica, I'm not on social media. So one particular Monday, I show up to work and my staff said, as soon as I walk in, they said, oh, can you remove Golerica? I said, yeah, I can. Let's get to work. I was getting close to seeing a patient. So I go to my office, I drop my briefcase off, I come out and say, well, can you really take out glue? I say, yes, I can. Let's go see patient. I did not know what was going on. So after I saw my second patient, I came out of the room and my patient coordinator at the time brought a phone and said, this is it. I said, yes, I can. I didn't even know. So 30 minutes later, TMZ was calling my office. Hey, we heard
that you're able to do it. Yeah.
And I said, yes. Well, that day after work, they told me the whole story. I looked at it. I did not know what Gorilla Glue was. So I sent my staff, asked her to go and purchase Gorilla Glue. And then that night, after researching it, I gave them a list to buy more other chemicals. Okay. We came to work Tuesday after surgery. I started mixing it together. I got a skull, got weave, and then used Gorilla Glue to tape into the skull. The solutions that I made, started testing it. And then I found they were all good enough to dissolve it. Then the next question was, what concentration will it take so that it doesn't hurt? So me being my own guinea pig, this knee, I stuck Q-tip into each solution and then find out which one doesn't burn. So I did test parts on my own knee.
Wow.
And then we found one that wasn't burning.
Okay.
That one was effective. Wednesday, patient showed up, and I thought it was a joke. TMZ was with cameras.
The whole thing was documented.
I spoke to her at length, got a good history.
Okay.
We took her to the operating room. Within 90 minutes, it was working. Everything was coming out. Wow. And now she's back to normal life.
She's back to normal. And how does it feel when you've transformed somebody?
It makes me feel good that I'm able to do my job. If all of us were able to do our jobs, this world would be a better place. But it makes me feel good that I can put a smile on somebody's face. Yeah. And Tessica, for example, I came to find out that this woman was in pain for 3 weeks. Wow. Went to multiple emergency rooms, and nobody could help her. And I felt good about it.
Okay, fantastic. Let's talk about Restore. What made you start Restore and look back home? Because a lot of the times when you're in the diaspora, you're comfortable. There's a lot of people that are not looking back home. But you decided to let Restore be that foundation that looks back home to help the community. What made you do that?
Yeah, so we've all heard the saying, to whom much is given, much is required. Okay, and charity begins at home. For me to be inspired by Operation Smile, okay, to go into plastic surgery, when I was a resident, I was working with a guy named John Miller. It was Dr. Miller who planted the seed in my head. Okay, Dr. Miller said, Michael, you're from Ghana, right? I said, yeah. I said, why don't we go and do free surgery? That brought me back to when I was a 14-year-old child at how I saw Operation Smile. So the seed that Dr. Miller planted in my head could have been around 2003. Yeah. Okay, it wasn't until 2006 when I was a fellow at Harvard. That's when the name Restore came to me. In the middle of the night, I got up, wrote it down, then I had to come up with meaning for each single letter. And, I was able to come up with something meaningful, restoring emotional stability through outstanding reconstructive efforts. And since 2007, we've been to over live in different countries. We have done over 1,500 surgeries, all free of charge. And if we were to put a monetary figure on it, in terms of U.S. standards, we are talking about $75 million worth of surgery, all for free.
That's amazing. That is incredible. And everybody that you come with, your team is incredible. You bring a team of people to Ghana. I've been to the one that you did in Kumasi. Okay, so then you started off in Accra. What made you then extend it to other African countries?
So Ghana was the first country, of course, it's my country. So when I finished my training, I started looking at the state of plastic surgery in Ghana. I Googled, I came across Kolebu, they had plastic surgery unit, also Comfort Noche. At the time, Ghana had 5 plastic surgeons, 2 in Accra and 3 in Kumasi. The people in Kumasi wrote back to me. I had just written a simple letter that, hi, my name is MiKO Obeng. I just graduated in plastic surgery. I would like to come and help you guys. Okay. Kumasi wrote me back and said, we'd love to have you. So that's how it all started here. 2008, I made my first trip. 2009, and then 2010, I brought the first group. And then we did, so all 3 was in Kumasi. 2011, we went to Tamale. Okay, 12, we came back. 12, we took a year of that. That's the year that I transitioned to Ghana. So in 2012, I did a brief stint in Lagos. And, how did these other people find us? Through relationships. So I got approached by somebody from Nigeria 2012. This is when I was moving to Los Angeles. I heard that you've been to Ghana to do surgery. Would you be kind enough to come? I did. And then 13, we brought a massive team here in Kumasi, 14. And then 15, 16, we went to Upper West. And then the last 2 years, we've done the Volta region. And this October, we are going to Agogo. Pick a site. We try to do 2 in a row. And the reason being, first year you might not be able to accomplish. Of course, 2 trips will not accomplish it. But the goal is also to get the local doctors involved to also see what they need in terms of how can we empower them so they can take better care of their patients. And that's what these mission trips are all about.
So what types of surgeries are you actually doing when you come down?
But mostly brain scar contractures releases. We have so many open fires in Ghana. Little children who are run into big pots of water. So when these burns, when these injury heals, they do have scar tissue, a lot of scar tissue, and if it crosses a joint, then it causes scar contracture. So there are people who have been burned here, they cannot lift up their arm because they have a thick band of scar, restricting movement. So those are some types of surgery. So tumor extirpation. When I say extirpation, meaning removing tumors. So a lot of head and neck tumors, breast cancer reconstruction, anything thrown away.
Anything Doc can fix.
Anything we can fix, not just me, teamwork.
What I love about what you do is that the fact that you just mentioned that you're training the people on the ground, the doctors, and you're working with them, and they're also learning. And that's a give back. I always say this, not all of us will move back, but you can give back, right? And that's what you're giving back. Been away for 35 years. I mean, you come back and forth. How have you seen Ghana develop? How have you seen the opportunities? If you were 15 years old again in this era, would you still want to go to the US?
There are a lot of opportunities in Ghana, But Ghana, I still feel like, there are so many people who are very, very intelligent, very smart, very talented, but they don't know the right people. And it makes it difficult to achieve your full greatness, But yeah, there are still great opportunities here. And you cannot compare Ghanaian education to Western education. I think our basic education was very good. When I went to the US, I was ahead of my classmates, But yes, as a 15-year-old kid growing up now, I will still explore different opportunities, And if you, of course, there are people in the right families who know the right people, yes, they will do well. There are people who takes an act of Congress, Their talent has to be really, really recognized by somebody. And sometimes if you're not in the right environment, this is not going to be seen versus the Western world, the US, where I believe that is the greatest country because of, it doesn't matter where you come from, what socioeconomic status, color, if you work hard, you can achieve the dream.
There's a lot of Ghanaians in the US, Europe, wherever, that have written Ghana off. It's too tough. What would you say to comments like that?
Frustrations are there, I started looking back in 2018. Traveling across the continent and across developing countries, recognized there was a huge need for healthcare consultation because it wasn't because we didn't have the resources, the money. We have the money, the capital resources, but it's because of our mentality, our attitude. And I saw that, if we educate people, Okay, we can put our money where our mouth is. A sophisticated country like Ghana, there are still leading hospitals here that when you go, you're going to die from lack of oxygen. Right. And it's not just Ghana. My friends have several heads of state children across Central Africa and East Africa. And you go to some of these countries where they have spent so much money on other things, and you go to their hospitals and you recognize that they don't have oxygen. Okay? There are so many great men, politicians included, who have died in Ghana because of lack of oxygen. And we know that people have wealth. But what I tell my friends, that in the middle of the night, if you can't breathe, you're going to die. And they look at you stunned. I said, how am I going to die? I said, by the time that you put together your private jet, your crew, trying to fly back to the UK, you're dead, okay? When you're having a heart attack, you have a window of opportunity of about 2 hours. We need to fix our own backyard. Okay. And I know that Ghana has made strides, is getting better, but we can do better.
So what are the things you, with your experience and your expertise, are you doing to champion this?
We are trying to do our part, okay? Yeah. For 2018, we've been working on, my group and I, trying to reach out to the masses. Wow. That we are launching the first of its kind in the sub-region. The World Health Organization, GMP certified pharmaceutical plants to make affordable drugs. We're about to break ground this fall.
Yay, finally.
Yes, finally.
It's taken a long time.
It's taking, when you want to do something right, it takes a while to get the licenses, to get, to do all your feasibility studies, put the right team together. It's taken a while, of course. We started 2018, we broke ground in Kumasi, and then we worked up until 2020, right before we were about to get the final inspection from the FDA. COVID hit. Yes. Okay, my vision changed because at this point, I said, why am I limiting myself to just one piece of land in Kumasi? And by talking to the acclaim, Dinoho, we realized that, we can get 100 acres. Of course, by the time I acquainted myself with Dinoho about the land, they had so many offers. People from Cape Coast gave me another, they can have as much land. But, I've made a gentleman's agreement with Dinoho. I love the location because about an hour and a half from the port, there's a railroad tracks about to, which is being constructed that will take, finished goods up to the north, and it's not too far from Accra. So it's the right location. People always ask me, why are you building there? You're not from there. I'm from Ghana. Ghanaians, we need to stop the mentality, I'm not from the north, so I'm not going to start a business. If you see an opportunity, you act upon it. So that's the little bit that we are doing to improve the healthcare system, in Ghana and also in our own sub-region.
Fantastic. And we are happy that you are doing this, especially back home in Ghana, because I know that, like you said, you're very close friends with a lot of presidents out on the continent. You could have done this anywhere. But for you to do it back home,
of course, charity begins at home. And we've already located a second site in Central Africa. I will mention that once this is up and running, thanks to the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, you can move goods and services across without any tariffs or very minimal tariffs. So, Ghana as a base is good for now, and if we have to, we have located a place in Central Africa that are willing to give us as much land.
Doc, your last words to the people in the diaspora who don't want to look back home. What would be your message to them to encourage them?
The frustrations are real. If you truly want to do something and want to change the culture, you can. With persistence, finding the right people. There are good people here who can help you, bring your ideas into fruition. So don't give up. Continue to strike and share your ideas, and eventually somebody will pick it up and then spread it. So that's my advice.
Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us. We're here, Google Diaspora Network, to help you do that as well. So thank you so much for watching.